Hello to those who are beginning to gather. I hope I am audible. Hello, Kala Sakura. I will be getting underway in just a few minutes. Hello, Chunk Flunkins. Yeah, I am sorry about the spate of issues over the last few weeks. But I am glad to be getting back into this, especially because I got really frustrated in that last stream, which is insane. I have played 350 hours of Hollow. Like, I don't do the Pantheons or like the real end game stuff. Like, I never beat Absolute Radiance or any of that nonsense. But I know how to play the game and beat the game. And with the whole Fluke Marm issue, it was just awful. And then I was also in a really, really bad mental state. I have been for the past month. It's been very, very difficult. But nonetheless, we are back, and we are going to pick up where we left off. And I actually did... In order to get over the whole Silksong broke my muscle memory, I went through and did a complete... Well, not a complete, but 109%. 109% playthrough of this in the past 2.5 weeks, just to kind of retrain at it. And I'm not touching Silksong again until we have put Hollow Knight behind us. And I also didn't take any time to sort of organize my thoughts and think about what I would be discussing in the stream. Anyway, when we left off, we had been having a series of disasters with Fluke Marm, of all things. So hopefully that won't continue to happen now. Oh, I never opened the passage. That was another foolish thing. There's a shortcut there. And then oh, this is already going well. This is already going well. And it's going to take me a minute to find my conversational thread, too. Because I did go through and do a complete playthrough, and then I ended up canceling another stream. And it's been like a week and a half since I've touched the game. Oops. It was a little bit too close. I absolutely love the sound design here, right? Like, this is just great. Wow, I'm still just taking a beating here. We're gonna get through Fluke Marm, and then we're gonna... I really hate... Yeah, this is going to be a little bit of a pain point until we get through it. But we can heal up on these maggots. We're going to open the shortcut. And then we're going to try and figure out what the hell we were doing and where the hell we were at. And we're going to talk about the critical path through the game and everything else. But for right now, we are just going to get the sewers behind us. Did I pick up Isma's pier? I guess I should check that. Did I already do the east sewers? I did do the east sewers. What is that? Oh, I didn't notice that you... I never noticed in all my time that if you inadvertently let the delicate flower get destroyed, you are left with a ruined flower in your inventory. Let's go open the shortcut up. Whoops. Forgot you were there. Okay, it's fine. Alright, that'll make getting back there easier. Okay. And we're gonna go in healthy. Oh dear. Hold on 1 second, I'll be right back. All right. Testing. Testing. Can I be heard now? Okay, I am apparently audible again. Fantastic! So this is just a complete disaster. I ran away because I left a burner on. And then I made a joke about how It doesn't matter. The joke was missed. Yeah. So, and then you all saw what happened with Flukemar and me getting killed. And it's fine. It's done. We're leaving the sewers behind now. We're gonna clean up the sewers. And what I wanted to say, and we're just gonna finish exploring the sewers. Because again, I'm going to assume at this point that pretty much everybody in the world has played through this game and pretty much knows what's going on. And so I can just go into the actual analysis of the game design here, which is what I really have wanted to do. So we have reached a point in the game where you could argue that the critical path of the game sort of gives out. And that's at the point where you get the Monarch Wings. Where you go down, you fight the broken sibling, or the broken vessel, get the Monarch Wings that give you the double jump, and then you emerge from the sewers. And at that point, the game has fully transitioned into a sort of open world-ish setup. And while I think, and there is some evidence to that, most tellingly is in the Elder Bug. As I have pointed out, as you play through the game, the Elder Bug will give you clues pointing you to the next location that the game thinks you should explore. He points you toward Green Path, he points you down into the Fungal Waste, and then toward the City of Tears. Then he points you up to Crystal Peak after you do the City of Tears. Then talks about the Ancient Basin, suggesting that you go down and beat the sibling. And those are the major points on the progression path. And in fact, if you come back from the Ancient Basin and have gotten the Monarch Wings, but you haven't yet found the Dream Nail, then he suggests that you might want to go to the resting grounds and pick up and see what's there, pointing you to the Dream Nail. At which point you are equipped to go into the open world portion of the game. Because the game actually plays out in a couple of acts, right? I mean, once you get to the point where you have the Monarch Wings, then the game has given you the instruction. It has told you that you now need to go and find these 3 dreamers and break their seal and do whatever that entails. And then go to the Black Egg and do whatever that entails. And by the time you come out of the Ancient Basin, you have the 3 quest markers for the Dreamers on your map, so that you can start poking and prodding in those areas and trying to visit them. However, it's also likely that you don't actually have everything you need to complete all 3 of the Dreamers. In that you absolutely need Isma's Tear, or... Well, I think you have to have Isma's Tear, because that's the only way to... Or the Shade Cloak. One or the other. And you have the choice of which of those to do. Now, if you had done the sewers early, you could find your way to Isma's Tear sooner. But the way I did it was I came out of the Ancient Basin and then found myself conveniently near the sewers to get Isma's Tear. Wow. The thoughts just aren't flowing. I gotta turn down the volume a little bit. The game's a little bit too loud in my ears. So the game, like I said, we've now transitioned to the point where you could argue that it is now the open world portion of the game. However, I don't think that's entirely the case. And we know from from Ari and William talking about it, that they initially designed the game as a linear Metroidvania game, and then built in the branches later. And so that means that there is the foundation of a guided nonlinear experience underlaying the whole game. And I actually believe that at this point, even though you could go chasing the dreamers, the game actually very conveniently puts you back out of the ancient basin here where the sewers are, so that you could pick up Isma's tier if you hadn't already. And then the sewers deposit you back here, where if you haven't yet explored Deep Nest, and it's likely that you haven't if you're a new player, that the next logical place to go is Deep Nest, not because of the dreamer that's there, even though there is a dreamer there that pulls you there, right? I mean, if we look at the map, there is a dreamer that pulls us into Deep Nest, and she's way over here, to the point where you might not even notice her, unless you, except when you zoom out, right? And even though that's like the proximate cause for you going into Deep Nest would be the dreamer, the actual reason to go into Deep Nest is because of the tram pass and getting access to Kingdom's Edge. Oh, these guys are harmless now. I don't need to be murdering, like, literally every mantis. I'm so sorry. You guys all get to live. I remembered we're friends now. And in point of fact, there is a way into Deep Nest that is only accessible after you have the double jump, which is through the fungal core. And I think that's the vestige of the game still keeping you on the critical path. That said, the game does artfully handle its transition. This isn't the fungal core. This isn't where I want to be. Nope. Oh, I gotta go up one. I gotta go up to the next one. Okay. The game does sort of artfully handle the transition between... Am I crazy? No, I was in the right place. How am I so lost? I literally just played through this entire game a week ago, from start to finish. And I have the damn game memorized. And I can't... Right. That's where I need to go. I should put on the little... the compass. Okay, so here is a place you can only access with the Monarch Wings. The fungal core. And now we can get down into Deep Nest this way. Okay. I promise that this is all in aid of a larger point. It has been said of Hollow Knight that Hollow Knight is the perfect expression of a Metroidvania game, but that it does nothing new. It doesn't change the genre. And I have even said that myself, that basically this game is like, if you played every Metroidvania game that existed and then you decided to make your own perfect Metroidvania game, this is the game that you would make. It doesn't reintroduce the formula or change the genre in any way. It is just the pinnacle of the genre. It has basically replaced Super Metroid as the perfect definition of Metroidvania. However, I think that is actually untrue on reflection, because there is a thing that Hollow Knight did specifically that few other Metroidvania games had done, and none of them had done nearly as artfully. And that was how it introduced goals, and then gradually changed the goals to move the player from guided nonlinearity to more open world exploration. When when you think about a traditional Metroidvania game, what mostly drives you forward is just curiosity, right? Like you go back and you think about your playthrough of Super Metroid, and why am I killing? Like, I don't have to kill literally every dude. I don't know. Let's just keep moving. Okay, so it's basically curiosity that drives you forward. You wander in a direction, you find a dead end, you find something to get you around that dead end. Lather, rinse, repeat through the whole game until finally you have found the baby Metroid and it saves you from Mother Brain, and then the end, right? Wow, we're just going to face tank the damage because I'm more interested in talking. I should just do a podcast. It would be so much easier to do this as a podcast. But what Hollow Knight does especially well is that it gradually changes the way you think about the goals of the game. It actually starts off with a very, very tight gameplay loop that involves, and I've talked about this like pretty much every stream now, where you go into an area, wander around until you find the map guides you to a thing, then the thing guides you to the thing rewards you with an upgrade, and the upgrade leads you to the next area, and on and on and on you go, except that it gradually also changes how it even uses the map. But at various points in the game, it also introduces some more long-term goals. One of the best examples is when you meet Hornet at the fountain, and the game puts the marker on the map that says, "Oh, hey, black egg," right? And that's sort of the indicator that I'm going to have to go there at some point, and that's probably where the game is going to end. Then soon thereafter, you end up with the Dreamers on your map, and the game is saying, okay, these are the three bosses that will unlock the way to the final boss. Because Hollow Knight also assumes that you already speak video game, right? I mean, they know that their fans are video game literate, and they have counted on that at various points in the game. And then, of course, when you meet Hornet, she then gives you this other long-term goal of, hey, you could just go beat the game, but instead you could try to really fix the problem. And to do that, you need to go seek out the King's Grave, or the Grave in Ash, she refers to it as. Basically pushing you toward Kingdom's Edge, right? And when you do that, it then pushes you forward in a different direction, and so on and so forth. But by the time you get the Monarch Wings, one thing ceases to lead to another, but at that point you've been conditioned to think about long-term goals, and then to start puzzling your way through the map, using the fact that the Dreamers are marked on your map, even though you can't specifically see how to get to them. So, you can't specifically see how to get to the Dreamers. I can't remember which way I want to go. I think I want to drop down, right? I want to drop down. Yeah, we're going to drop down. So you can't necessarily go find the Dreamers based solely on the information you have on the map. You have to poke and prod. And when you do that, you are going to discover that your way to some of them is blocked. Even if you have the Monarch Wings, you'll find that you can't get into the core of Fog Canyon. Right, you're going to need one of two items. And the fact that it's two items instead of just one is also interesting. Not because, it doesn't really give you options. Right? It's not like you have a choice. Because if you've never played the game before, you don't have context for the choice. You're not sitting there saying, oh, I could go find either of these upgrades. I'm going to go get the upgrade that lets me swim through acid, because you don't know which upgrades are out there. But what it does is guarantee that if you do start wandering, there's two different ways, or there's two different correct directions that you could end up going in. I hate you. Hello, Hagley. So there's two different correct directions, either of which will lead you to progress, which is very handy. And I could be talking about the progression of stuff through Deep Nest. I know I'm also going in the wrong direction here, but I'm going to go in this direction anyway, for reasons. Okay, so where was I? So it's not really a matter of you have a choice. Oh, if this path is too hard, you can choose that path instead. It's more along the lines of if you just start guessing paths, there's two different correct answers that will still lead you ahead. Right? But again, the game is still using its tricks to I'm probably going to have to shut up and concentrate a bit. Maybe. The game is still using all of its guided nonlinearity Metroidvania tricks to keep you moving in good directions. And I pointed out the proximity. I knew. Yeah, okay. I pointed out that you come out with the Monarch Wings in very close proximity to Deep Nest, where if I'm just gonna shut up and concentrate on my timing here for a second, and then we'll come back to this thought. No, you stay away. Damn it! Alright. Is this really going to be... This is going to be, like, the deal breaker for me, is I can't finish. I can get all the way up, but then I just can't finish. I promise that has never happened to me before. Okay. So, the game is still using its Metroidvania tools, and it is actually using its little Metroidvania tools to kind of lead you... Yeah, you had to take that bait, right, Rally Cat? So the game is using all of its Metroidvania tools and its little Metroidvania arsenal to still lead you on, specifically because it does want you to find the proper ending. And so it wants me to find the tram pass. Oh, that was wrong. That was wrong. Whoa, that was wrong too. Actually, that's not wrong. There's a little secret down there. But that was wrong. I want to compliment... This little room, by the way, is extremely well designed. It's one of those little things that you don't really think about as being well designed. And yeah, I just wanted to get to the tram so that we have the tram pass. And there's a reason why I'm going in this direction and getting the tram pass. And it's because I want to show off how clean this final path really is. when you get the sequence that brings us the sequence that gets us the shade cloak, right? Okay. Because now we've come down to Hollow Nest or Deep Nest because it was convenient, because of where the game sort of naturally deposited us, and now we've discovered the tram down here by going deep into Deep Nest. And I think we also have to beat Nosk while we're down here rather than come back later. Might as well, right? So anyway, because I think, honestly, that until you have the Shade Cloak, it is fair to say that the game's critical path is not over and the game is not done guiding you along it. And I will argue that I am still on the game's critical path, having come back with the Monarch Wings, gone down here into Deep Nest. We're going to get the tram pass, yada, yada, yada. Now, as for how we discern the game's critical path, because remember, the key to a good Metroidvania game is that you don't know that it's leading you around. All of the exploration feels organic, and you feel like you're making your own decisions at every step of the way. Obviously blocked along certain paths, but you still have the sense that the explorable space is quite large, and that you're making the important decisions at every step of the way. And yeah, you encounter an obstacle, but that's not the game designer. That's just the world being the way it is. And then when you encounter a way around that obstacle and remember that and then go back, then that's you being a clever explorer, right? And that's really the key of the Metroidvania genre or subgenre is really in that moment of recontextualization where you have discovered something that changes the way the game looks, that changes something, that basically there was an obstacle, and now you realize you can remove that obstacle. I guess I have to actually do some damage if we're going to finish this, huh? Whoa! Okay, I thought you were going to make a run for it. Yep, but you didn't. Oh no! Okay. Oop. Oh, I forgot. Don't stand there when she's on the ceiling, because she can drop into that spot. I'm doing a terrible job at baiting her little snot globs, huh? You coming? Are you back on the ceiling? Oh, you're back on the ceiling. Okay. That's fine, too. That's fine, too. That's fine. Okay. I don't remember Nosk hanging around this long. Okay, there we go. Oh, right, pale ore. I thought it was a mask shard. All right, so that's Nosk. Okay. So what were we talking about? Oh, yeah. Okay. So the idea is that you don't want the critical path to be too obvious. You don't want the player to realize that you're kind of leading them around by the nose. But at the same time, you don't ever want the player to get lost or frustrated. And so you're designing the game carefully to make sure that the next direction that the player should go, or the several possible directions that the player could go, are all fairly close to the surface in the player's mind at all times. And we've talked about some of the ways that the games do that, and I've commented on them on my blog when I was talking about using them in D&D dungeon design. Things like proximity, where the game makes sure that after you find an upgrade, you just happen to be close to the place where you can use it, or salience, where the path forward or the obstacle is very memorable, so that by the time you get the upgrade, you instantly jump back to it and think, oh, okay. And then there's also tricks like visual language. So, for example, the shade gates that you can dash through with the shade cloak in this game, they use the same visual language that is used in the Abyss and by the shade cloak itself, so that when you see the shade cloak, you instantly think, oh, hey, I bet I can go through those shadowy gate things now. Which is especially important because it may be a while since you saw one of them. There's not many of them in the game. And in fact, I think the Shade Cloak is the weakest upgrade in the game for that reason. Because it's... Oh. Alright, there's still a little bit of Silksong in me, because I just tried to flare my flutter cloak and float. Yeah, so salience is, in responding to Rallycat's question, salience is memorability. Okay, and anything that makes something memorable, including an emotional memorability like you described, where if the gate guard was acting like a jerk, and then you have the thing that will bypass the gate, then yeah, you'll remember that because you had this negative encounter with the gate guard. Yeah, that is an example of salience. Okay, but anything that makes something stick in your mind, well past the moment where it happened, is salience. Okay, it can just be something particularly attractive. Like the most famous example of Metroidvania salience is the door to Kraid's lair in Super Metroid. Okay, that you need the high jump boots to get to. And it's just this very memorable door. And actually there's a couple of things that does. Everybody talks about how memorable the door is, but the other thing that the game does is it uses the mini map, or the game's in-game map, to also suggest there's something here. You know, you definitely want to go this way. It's very distinct, the way it's shown on the map. I guess we gotta go down and rescue. We gotta rescue Zode. Did I go the right way? Oh no, this is not the way to rescue. This is going back down into the depths. I don't want to go back down into the depths. I just want to loop around and rescue Zode. Right? And that's... Yeah. Because we gotta rescue Zote. Zote's the best. You know, I complained a lot in Silksong, too, about how much it used these, locking you into these gauntlet rooms. But I had forgotten that there are more than just a couple of them in Hollow Knight. It's just that Hollow Knight doesn't consider them a pillar of gameplay. And it's clear that Silksong does, but I guess we'll have to save that discussion for the Silksong playthrough. Which we're definitely going to have to do, right? Except I'll have to actually beat Silksong. I'm at 97% right now. I'm in Act 3. For the 24th time or something. But I did stop playing Silksong so that I wouldn't keep ruining my ability to play Hollow Knight. And I am playing a little bit better than I was, though still not great. I still have a lot of trouble with my distance, too. Like, I try to do the little jump attacks where you jump up and just, like, swing a guy and use the pushback to keep you from getting hit, and I keep getting it wrong. I'm also just generally clumsy. Yeah, I have to admit that I've hit that point now where I'm an older gamer now. It's just, you know, the spirit is still willing, but the flesh and the reaction times just kind of a little bit weaker than they used to be. I can still beat the turbo tunnel, but man, I'm starting to feel it. Anyway. So as I said, I think the game continues to lead you on, and that it wants you to come this way, find the tram pass, because of how clean this whole path works out. I mean, insofar as you can call Deep Nest clean. Deep Nest it's a pretty awful area. And so here's the thing. Unpopular opinion here. I don't actually think Deep Nest is that great. Atmospherically, it is very effective. Okay, and it definitely, thematically, it is very much a horror area, which is fantastic. It's extremely disempowering. It does evoke a sense of dread, which is great, except that it's sort of out of place in the rest of the game. On top of that, a lot of the stuff it does to do what it's doing is sort of borderline screw jobby. All right, if it wasn't late in Hollow Knight, and I'm already inclined to like love Hollow Knight, right? Like Hollow Knight's the best, so I am inclined to love it, and so I'm going to forgive it when it starts doing really crappy stuff. And I had a similar epiphany, by the way, when I was playing through the White Palace, and I realized that the White Palace is actually bullshit. I hate the White Palace. It is not fun. It is not an appropriate challenge. It does not fit into the game well. I will have a lot to talk about when we get to it, but I would not have forgiven the White Palace if it didn't come at the end of such an amazing game as Hollow Knight. You know, like you forgive Hollow Knight its screw-ups because it does so many things so well. We're going to try and beat Galleon, even though I don't have high hopes. Because is this Galleon or is this... Yeah, I think this guy's name is Galleon. Oh, Biscuit is coming over to say hello. Sorry, I have a cat getting comfy on me. We're going to mute for... All right, Biscuit has settled down. She is sitting on my chest. And now we're going to try and beat Galleon, who is kind of a pain. Like, I hate this guy. Definitely kind of a tribute to the death fights in Castlevania because of the whole spinning scythe thing. Biscuit, don't rub on the microphone. And, ow! And don't... yeah, this is... Okay. There are going to be a couple of hindrances in this fight, huh? Well, we're just... That's okay. We got a bunch of blue. Ah, damn it. Alright, that wasn't so bad. That wasn't so bad, considering I had a cat clawing at me and climbing all over me, and... Yeah, okay. But it's done. Yeah. Rallycat is saying my talk on having a great time with Persona 5 and ending when I was done is what empowered them to not do the White Palace. Yeah, there's no, like, if you've gotten all that you're going to get out of the game and it's no longer being fun, then by all means, yeah, just stop and consider it $50 well spent. Like, you got, right? Like, if you get... You don't have to beat the game to have truly enjoyed it. That said, no, actually, there's no follow-up to that. I don't need to say anything. Ow. Sweetie, you need to decide what you want to do. Do you want to sit with me, or... I muted myself because she climbed back on me and she started rubbing on the microphone. And the thing is, I would be less patient with her, or not less patient with her, but I would be putting her on the ground and saying that we can't sit together right now, except that she is back in the stupid recovery collar again and miserable. And so I cannot deny her time sitting together with me because she's very, very upset. Oh no, I was going the right way. Okay. So, we're just going to put up with her. Okay. So, what I mean with Deep Nest is that, first of all, a lot of what it does to you is based on just screwjob traps. Okay, and the two biggest ones are the floor dropping out from under you in various places to deposit you in spiked pits, often without you having enough time to respond. Like, again, you know, it's not like it's a new game. Everybody who is ever going to play, who is going to play Hollow Knight has played Hollow Knight now. So, you know, everyone knows where all the traps are. So they no longer surprise everyone. But looking at this with the beginner's mind, then, you know, that's just a screw job. Especially because there is a little bit of finickiness with the physics, where when the floor crumbles under you, there just isn't quite enough, let's call it coyote time. There isn't quite enough coyote time to let you recover from it, and you tend to just fall into the spikes. And it does that a lot. Am I going the right way? Yeah, I think I am. I want to head back down. We got the tram pass. By the way, so we picked up the tram pass, which is like the single most... we talk about salience and struggling to get the player to remember where upgrades will be usable. And then there's phoning it in Metroidvania-wise, where it's like, okay, there is a tram, and it has a slot for a pass. You found a tram pass. I wonder where you're going to use that. Right. Another defense, by the way, of this being all part of the critical path is the fact that you pretty much... you hit Quirrell at all the points on his little story. And we haven't really talked about the NPCs and how they work. But as you play through the game, there's various NPCs kind of wandering through the world on their own adventures, which makes the world feel much more alive. And it makes it feel like obviously you're not the only... I was going to say it makes you feel like you're not the only explorer. Yeah, having another explorer wandering around the world will certainly make you feel like you're not the only explorer in the world. A brilliant observation. Yeah, but... so, you encounter them at various points on their own little stories, which is a very Dark Souls-y thing. To the point where, again, while Ari and William insist that Dark Souls was not a significant influence on this game, they are nonetheless very clearly lying. I am willing to chalk it up to source amnesia, but the fact is, there is a lot of Dark Souls in this game, not just in the in the NPCs, but also in the theming and how the story is revealed. Oh, so this brings us back to what, the ancient basin. Which, did I not pick up the map of the ancient basin? Oh, I couldn't afford the map when I came through. Oh, and I didn't pay for... yeah, that's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Well, that was my screw up. You know? I don't think it was unintentional. I think they knew exactly what they were doing. Just like you can't play Silksong without Bloodborne being everywhere. Okay, and they knew it. They knew what they were doing. But you have to remember that this came out in the height of, oh, this game is the Dark Souls of whatever. Right? Everything was the Dark Souls of whatever. Because Dark Souls was very transformative in the video game space. And so every game that was even like tangentially... Ow. Okay, Biscuit shifted again. Now she's gone again. So every game that was like remotely, tangentially, slightly related to anything that Dark Souls had done even remotely was referred to as the Dark Souls of whatever. And so I think when they said, this isn't Dark Souls, and no, Dark Souls was not an influence, that was sort of a, let's call it a counter-reaction. Right? That was them fighting back against the whole, this is the Dark Souls of or everything is the Dark Souls of everything. I don't think that I think they know how much Dark Souls influenced them. I don't think it could have been accidental. They're not that dumb. But I can understand why they would want to insist that Dark Souls was not a major influence because of what was going on in gaming at the time this came out. And one of the things that Dark Souls introduced was the idea of NPC, like the NPC that is going through the world at the same time you are, and more. Whoops! Oh, I forgot that there was that path up there. The NPC was going through the world at the same time you are, and that if you find them at all of the points on their little quest, then you will get a complete story about them. Or you will participate in their story, or there will be some, like, final quest that relates. I'm just opening this path for completeness, because I have to 100% the map. Because this leads us back around to the City of Tears again, but this is not where we want to go. Okay. And if you follow the path as I've been doing it, and then now we head for... We are actually in Kingdom's Edge now. Then you've encountered Quirrell, who his is the most complex story of all the NPCs in the game. Not that there are that many. I mean, really, there's Quirrell and there's Cloth, who have who have several appearances, but it's mostly Quirrell. And then you also have. I forgot there was a shaky floor here. And then, I mean, there's also Zote the Mighty, and there's also a very small bit with Tiso. And that's really about it. It's really Quirrell, right? Quirrell is the best. I am angry that the sequel that we got was not the prequel of Quirrell wandering the wilderness and returning to Hollow Nest himself. Like, that's the game I really wanted as the sequel to this. I wanted to play Quirrell's story. Or I just wanted to be Quirrell. I had no desire to be Hornet. I hate Hornet, honestly. And giving her a voice was the worst, not like voice acting, but like letting her talk through the whole friggin' game of Silksong was the worst thing they could have done, because she's such a hateful character. And her arc is so badly executed. I don't agree with that. The Dark Souls of whatever belittles the art. I don't agree with that at all. I think it is acknowledging the influence of something that it has been far more influential than people realize. And also it works as a sort of counter to the people who find the influentialness of Dark Souls offensive and want to deny it. In many ways, Dark Souls hit gaming in a very similar way to what Skyrim did. I don't know if I came through here. Okay. I don't want to continue. That's not what I don't want to have this discussion. I want to talk about the game design here. Okay, because I didn't come through here, obviously. Or else I would have found that little nugget. I love the little grubs. And yet, I guess I did come down this way because I didn't get the ding from finding the secret. So I must have already exposed that path. But that's one of the more obscure little hidden paths. And so I don't think... we're just going to agree to disagree on it, Junk. As I said, I really don't want to talk about Dark Souls' place in the gaming space. You know, let's talk about Hollow Knight's place in the gaming space, right? Well, so scenario design, right? That's what this whole thing is about, right? And it is, I've described it. I think I used this phrase where I described it as. I also just got up to let Biscuit into the coat closet where she wanted to be, and I just assumed people could see me and know that I just walked away for a minute, and you know, I'm such a terrible streamer. All right. So I've described this whole sequence as very clean, and I really do think that it is. The whole go to Deep Nest, find the tram pass, and then use the tram to find your way to Kingdom's Edge. And then hopefully... Oh, that's interesting, too. And hopefully at this point, as you're now exploring Kingdom's Edge and you're noticing this drifting white stuff, you're now thinking, oh, I wonder if this is the Graven Ash that Hornet was talking about earlier. Right? Because you have this drifting ash and also the but no grave. But then when we look at the map, it's also interesting to note that the map, because I haven't been looking at the map, right? And the map does just kind of vertically connect the ancient basin all the way up past City of Tears, and then the only obvious thing on the map is that strange building, and at this point, that building is nothing. I mean, it's not nothing. It's going to turn out to be one of the Nail Master brothers. But it's not a goal by any stretch. At this point, the map is not leading us to a goal anymore. In fact, it's leading us in a dead-end direction away from the goal. It's suggesting, oh, you'll definitely want to go investigate that. But also, as we look at the map, we might not even notice that there is a vertical path up above here, and it's actually really easy to walk past that. Like, if we're coming up from below, and we're just kind of like bopping along, and we've already decided we're heading to the left, it's very easy to not even notice that path there. Which is, it's very clever because I hate these guys. I hate these. You know what? I'm just going to sit here and let him stomp on my ass. Because that little turnoff is designed to be much more noticeable on the way back. And it is possible that you have gotten here without yet meeting any of the Nail Master brothers. So, the game is, by using that as the anchor point for the map, or the goal that is suggested by Cornifer's map here, it's actually telling us some important stuff. Why am I don't have to fight you! Damn it! Why am I so stupid? Okay. So imagining at this point that we haven't been very good explorers, but we have been following our map. The map leads us here. We come in here, we meet this dude, Nail Master Oro, and he offers to train us, but he's going to charge us. Yeah, like, we're not here to talk about the story either. But this does something very significant if you haven't met one of the Nail Masters until now. Because, we certainly didn't find our way up into the Howling Cliffs. Okay? If we dream nail him, though, he gives us a clue as to the fact that there might be another one of him, and suggests where we might go looking for him. And on top of that, looking at the inventory, we can see that, if we hadn't already found the other one, we can see that there are actually 3 nail arts, right? And we found one of them. And so if you've gotten to this stage of the game and haven't yet discovered the Nail Masters, this is telling you, oh, hey, you might want to go look for the other 2 of these dudes. Not only that, because we are kind of at the point where the game is still has us on kind of a critical path, but it's sort of loosening its grip and trying to get us to the idea that, hey, you're going to have to do some open world-y exploration-y stuff from here on out. And, go clean up the world and find all the stuff that you missed. It's now suggesting more strongly that there's the possibility of these upgrades out there beyond just the progression upgrades and beyond just, upgrading your nail, that, hey, there's other nail arts and other spells and other things that you might look for. So it's clever that is given as the goal on Cornifer's map in this area of the game. Just to suggest that, hey, don't be in such a rush now to finish the game, even after you get the King's Brand and all that other stuff. Go looking around. I have my sound turned down low so that in my headphones, and so I keep missing where the little crinkly floors are. That's why I keep wandering back and forth to find them. There it is. I was talking about screw jobs in Deep Nest, and I mentioned one of the things is the collapsing floors that just keep depositing you into spikes as one of the elements that adds to the horror of the area, while at the same time being kind of a dickish thing to do. Another example of that, along a similar vein, is the dirt carvers that pop out of the ground. Because apart from their sound cue, the hissing noise that they make when they're going to pop out of the ground, if you are standing exactly where they're going to pop out, the little puff cloud that they raise from the ground can be very hard to see under your character. So again, you just have these creatures that are popping out. There is a secret passage somewhere here, and I don't have the whatchamacallit, the fungus. I don't have the fungus thing equipped. But it doesn't matter because I don't think that you can read that lore tablet. Oh, you can read the lore tablet, but you can't. We're going to do it. I mean, we're going to finish Mr. Mug. We're doing a full 108% run. Everything but God Home. That was great. Anyway, there's a little poem that gives you the clues to Mr. Mushroom's location, but you have to be wearing the spore charm. Oh, nope, that's the wrong way. That's a trap. Another thing that Deep Nest does, apart from spikes and enemies just popping up underneath you constantly, so that basically just like wandering around, you just take damage. You just fall into pits, just get attacked from below. Yeah, we'll do Grim, but we're only doing the good ending of Grim. Because that's the canonical ending. We're not doing the bad ending. Shit, what was I? Oh gosh, this is a disaster. This is why I'm really here. It's just for this. It's just for Quick Slash. Which basically becomes how I win every boss fight from here on out. And also the entire... We'll even do the Coliseum of Fools. What the hell? I love the Coliseum of Fools. Which is kind of funny. But we'll talk about that too. I don't want to talk about the stuff we're going to talk about. Let's talk about the stuff we are talking about. Okay. Wait. I guess... I was going to go back to the bench, but there's really no point in going back to the bench, because if I die, I'll just respawn at the bench, and until then, I don't need the bench. Okay, so this is what I'm saying, though. It's only as you're coming back that you're like, oh, hey, what's this? Right? And then... Now we know this path is here, and so we're checking it out. And... Whoops. I didn't have any spell juice. Okay. And then we see, finally, the second of these shadow gates. There was one more that we could have run into as we were coming out of Deep Nest, but I didn't go that way. And it's wise of the game here to put a shadow gate to remind you that they exist, because the proper progression path from here is then to go get the Shade Cloak. And in fact, the tram makes it super convenient, which again is part of that whole clean path argument that I'm making, where go find the tram pass, go to, then come here, and then you're in a position to go right back into the ancient basin. That's so far. I still keep trying to float in midair. I still keep trying to do the princess dress float. Like, I guess Silksong just doesn't leave you. It's also why I keep doing the little zip. I keep doing the little cloak dash, and then I'm holding down the R button because I'm trying to run. Because little Hollow Knight here is slow. It's actually interesting how much... Oh, and then we have a bench sign, which helps us spot this hidden wall, or this hidden wall. Alright, we got just enough time. I think we're gonna go do the Hornet fight. We'll get the King's Brand, and then we're probably gonna call it a night after that. It's been about 90 minutes. Okay. I don't know why I'm looking... Oh, but I do want to check my charms, because I know a boss fight is coming. Have I not? Wow. You know what the part of the problem is? I haven't been, like... Huh. Alright, I guess, well, we'll throw on Grub Song. I've been leveling up. I haven't been going back and exploring and getting all the charm notches and extra charms and like, is my nail even upgraded enough? Yeah, I don't know. Or masks or anything. Yeah, that's kind of an issue. Because usually I stop and do a bunch of exploring to level myself up. So this Hornet fight might go very badly. Not just because I suck at this, but also because I'm kind of underpowered. I can't equip any extra charms. It's fine. We'll see what happens. But I probably won't be very talky. Oops, I forgot she did that. Okay, I forgot her moveset. Oh, I could have gotten the heel off. She gave me a window. Alright. Oh, also, still can't heal in midair. She laughed at me. That one little laugh that she did was perfectly timed as she backstepped to avoid me. Oh. Oh, I dashed right into her. All right, that's a shame. That's a shame. I almost looked like I was going to recover from the whole, oh, I can't remember her moveset, and I don't move like Hornet. Alright, it's fine. It's fine. Everyone gets one mulligan, right? I could go just like power up my nail and get a bunch of extra charm notches and stuff at this point. But we're not gonna do that. We're gonna do this pure. Oh. Damn it! She was in the air. Gonna take the heal only because I'm not doing great here. Oof. Glad I took the heal. I keep misjudging the dash distance. Will you let me get 2 masks off? You did. That was very nice of you. Alright, that wasn't so bad. I didn't look like a 10-thumbed idiot that time. I just need... It was the one bad fight. It was much better than my showing against Flukemarm and losing to the friggin' massive Moss Charger, which I don't think I will ever live down. You know what? We'll hang out for a bit yet. Okay. So if we were thorough in our exploration of the ancient basin, then we should know where to go now that we have been marked with the King's brand. I just need to swap out Grubsong for my money grubbing charm. Yeah, I really should need to do we need to do some exploring and grab all our upgrades, and definitely have to go buy all the charm notches from Salubria. And that was fantastic. Okay. So, and it's also super convenient that the tram brings us back to the ancient basin, right? Which is where we need to go with the King's brand. And that's why I follow this path that I do. Because you come out of there with the Monarch Wings, go into Deep Nest, get the tram pass, then you discover Kingdom's Edge, then you get the King's brand, and then we go down, and then we get the Shade Cloak, and at that point, we now have all of the progression abilities in the game. And at that point, the game then becomes a completely open experience where we can just pick our goal, or either follow the goals on the map, and we'll talk more about that next time. I'm actually just gonna get back to the tram, and then because we are closing on the 90-minute mark, and I'm still recovering from a bit of a health issue that is leaving me very, very sleep deprived. So I've been trying to make early nights of it. So I'm sorry that this is only a 90-minute stream tonight, but I will be back next time. And I'm glad I took the time to practice. I was actually very worried going into the Hornet fight, Hornet 2, because we're just gonna fall, but we're gonna hit every enemy on the way down. Okay, but we're gonna save going down into the abyss until next time. We'll start at the abyss. The only reason I want to do this before I shut off is because I want to remember... I don't care. It's fine. Alright. So, I want to thank everybody for hanging out. Kate, I'm sorry that you showed up late. And then you just showed up in time for me to head out and call it a night, but... thanks everybody for hanging out. Thank you for your patience with the last couple of canceled streams and the fact that I'm still struggling a little bit with both my ability to speak and my ability to play. Oh, there we go. Now I've completed a vessel. What happened? Oh, I didn't have enough money down here, right? So, Kate, did I at least look like I knew how to play the game for once when I fought Hornet 2 the second time? Because you missed the first fight, which was just like, oh, I completely forgot her moveset. And then what you saw was the end of the second fight. All right, but we're gonna save here. All right. Everybody have a good night. Have a good week. And I will see you all next Sunday. Same bat time, same YouTube channel. And we will continue this, and I'm going to aim to go for the full 2 hours next week. And we should be able to wrap this up in a couple of sessions, and then move on to Silksong, hopefully. So everybody take care, and be well. And happy June. June is going to be an exciting month in my community, I hope, unless I make a complete disaster of it. And for those of you who are members of my Discord community, tomorrow night, which is Monday, June 1st, I am doing a deep dive into not skill challenges, which I've been threatening to do for some time. So we will be doing a live stream on how to design complex encounters based on repeated skill checks and progressions in a way that doesn't suck. So look out for that. Otherwise, I'll see everybody next week. Have a good one.